Can you beat Pokemon Platinum using only level 1 Pokemon? No, of course you can't. Of course you cannot. You cannot possibly do it. You start with a level 5 Pokemon, and you gain experience throughout the game. You can't even get a level 1 Pokemon in the game without hatching an egg. The first egg you get is in Eterna City. It's impossible. You can't do it. So, if we did want to do it, we would have to make a few adjustments to the game. We would have to use a no experience code, which is a action replay code that for some reason exists. And we would have to hack in a Pokemon or a few Pokemon at the beginning in order to actually have level 1 Pokemon. Now, if we're using hacks, then we probably need to set some rules as to how much we can change about the game and actually still have fun with this. I think a fair rule set to use for this kind of challenge is the following. Only a team of 6 level 1 Pokemon may be used for the entirety of the game. Only moves that are legal at any level for those Pokemon may be used, and each may bring 1 held item into the game. We also play on set mode, because I always play on set mode, and we use a no experience code. There you go. That's the rules. That's what we can do. Alright, so what sort of team of level 1 Pokemon could you build to maybe have a chance, even a chance, at beating a full Pokemon game? The very first Pokemon that comes to mind is the legendary, the amazing, the godlike Shedinja. Shedinja has the Wonder Guard ability, which means that it can only take damage from moves that are super effective against it, or from indirect damage dealing moves like Toxic or Leech Seed. That means that if a Pokemon doesn't have a Flying type, a Rock type, a Fire type, a Ghost type, or a Dark type attack, it cannot kill Shedinja. So if we give Shedinja Toxic, then it should be able to kill all those Pokemon, even at level 1. The level shouldn't matter. Shedinja's HP is always 1 anyway. Very obvious inclusion into the team here. What are some other ways in which low-level Pokemon can kill high-level Pokemon? Endeavor plus Quick Attack is definitely a way of dealing with things. You survive on 1 HP using a Focus Sash, you set your opponent's HP to 1 using Endeavor, and you kill them with Quick Attack by going first. Now the biggest problem with using this strategy in this game is that, as we said at the beginning, we are only adding in 6 items, so as to prevent me from hacking in infinite revives and such. As we add 6 items, we could add 6 Focus Sashes to the game. But the Focus Sash, if you use it in-game, is actually consumed as it is used. Focus Sashes are one-time use only. So the item that instead we can use for Endeavor Quick Attack strats is the Focus Band. The difference between the Focus Sash and the Focus Band is that the Focus Sash always triggers, but only if the Pokemon is at full HP and is dropped to 0. The Focus Band lets you survive at 1 HP if you're put to 0 regardless from 1 HP, but it only has a 10% chance to trigger. But because we can save and we can reset with enough time, we can get those 10% triggers. So we should add some Endeavor Quick Attack Pokemon. Let's think about Shedinja's weaknesses though. What is it weak to? Ghost, Fire, Dark, Rock, Flying. If a Pokemon only has Ghost type moves to hit Shedinja, we should be able to stall them out. Because Normal is immune to Ghost, what we can do is switch in a Normal type on the Ghost type attacker, wasting 1 of its PP, and then switching back to Shedinja, and repeating that process all over. Which is why Normal types should probably be added to the team. Thus brings us to the first 2 members of our team, Dodrio and Zangoose. Dodrio has Endeavor and Quick Attack, which is one of our core strategies. It also can learn Fly, because we need to start thinking about HMs. It also has the ability Runaway. Repels only work if you're above the level of a wild Pokemon, and running away from wild Pokemon can actually be very difficult if you're not faster than them. So, what we can do is just lead with Dodrio and use the Runaway ability. The other Endeavor Quick Attack user that we can add to the game is Zangoose. Now you might not know this, but Zangoose is actually my favorite Pokemon, so there was some bias as to why I added it. But also, it learns a bunch of HMs, which is very important. Another way to stall out enemy Pokemon is doing the same strategy we do for Ghost type attacks with Normal types, with Fire type attacks. Now there's no type that's immune to Fire, but there is an ability. It's Flash Fire. Looking at every single Flash Fire mon available that we could add to the team, the best actually seemed to be Flareon, because Flareon got another utility move in Yawn, and putting things to sleep might be important. Another way to kill enemy Pokemon that doesn't involve Endeavor or Quick Attack is Destiny Bond. Destiny Bond kills the opponent's Pokemon if the opponent's Pokemon kills you. Now granted, you would have to go first, but luckily there is an item that allows you to go first. That item is Quick Claw. 20% of the time, it lets your Pokemon attack before the opposing Pokemon, unless the opposing Pokemon uses a priority move like Aqua Jet. We then look at all the Destiny Bond users and think about which is the most useful to add, and our sights very quickly land on the infamous Gengar. Gengar is amazing to use here. Not only does it get Destiny Bond, but it also gets Perish Song and Mean Look. Meaning, we can even kill enemy Pokemon not using Destiny Bond, but using Perish Song, killing them in 3 turns, and trapping them with Mean Look. Now, this Perish Song strategy will actually, later in the run, turn out to be quite useful for something a little bit different. But I'm getting ahead of myself. For the final team member, we need ways to deal with hail and sand. Shedinja has 1 HP, so it immediately dies if it's hit by a hailstorm or a sandstorm. So we need something that can set the weather for us. But not only do we need something to set the weather, we also have nothing that can learn the water-related HMs, Surf and Waterfall. So the only logical choice to add is Kyogre. And that makes a team of 6. Shedinja, Dodrio, Zangoose, Flareon, Gengar, and Kyogre. Setting out at level 1, not able to gain any experience, trying to beat Pokemon Platinum. We gave each of them a focus band. We gave one of them a focus sash, just in case. The Quick Claw we'll be picking up in Jubilife City for Gengar. The primary strategy for us going through this game is figuring out which Pokemon can kill Shedinja, and killing those with Destiny Bond from Gengar, Perish Song from Gengar, Endeavor Quick Attack from our 2 other users, or simply stalling them out with Toxic. We gave each of our Pokemon Toxic, we gave all of them Protect, we gave Gengar Destiny Bond, Mean Look, and Perish Song. Kyogre got Swagger, Flareon got Yawn, and I made a grave mistake by giving Shedinja Confuse Ray instead of Will-O-Wisp, because I greatly underestimated the amount of Steel and Poison types that we can't poison with Toxic in this run, which is going to be a common theme. So, getting through the early game is actually extremely easy. There's basically nothing that can kill Shedinja, and at these very early levels, our level 1 Pokemon actually do pretty well. The first example of a fight that we actually have to try for is actually the first gym. So, to get a basic idea of how these battles in this run are going to go down, we should take a look at the Roark Fight. Roark uses a Geodude, an Onix, and a Cranidos. All 3 of those Pokemon can kill Shedinja with Rock-type moves. Now he leads with the Geodude, and Geodude has Rock Throw. The basic strategy is going to be to lead with Shedinja, and hope for either a Rock Throw miss or a Focus Band proc on Shedinja, allowing us to hit Toxic on it. If we don't get any of that, we reset the game and try again. We then need to get another Focus Band proc from either our Endeavor users or our Toxic users on the Onix. We then need to hit a Quick Claw proc using Destiny Bond on the Cranidos, which allows us to get a win. After a little bit of optimizing of our odds and a little bit of switching around the team, we reset 8 times and finally got the perfect Roark Fight. Geodude procced the Focus Band on Flareon, allowing us to get off Toxic. Flareon then died, sending out Kyogre. As soon as Geodude was in heal range, we could Swagger it on the turn that Roark used a potion on him. We then got Destiny Bond to go off on Onix after he missed a Rock Throw on Gengar. We then learned a very important lesson about Destiny Bond. Destiny Bond still works if you used it a turn earlier and your opponent goes first against you. As long as Destiny Bond is the last move you used, you will kill the opponent if he kills you. So, playing for a miss and going for Destiny Bond is also often a way to kill a Pokemon. On the Cranidos, the Focus Band then finally procs on Zangoose. We Endeavor, realize that he's about to heal Endeavor again, and then kill the Cranidos with Quick Attack, and just like that, the first badge of Pokemon Platinum is ours, with only level 1 Pokemon. One of the biggest problems in this run was actually Team Galactic and their Zubats. Zubats have dark and flying type attacks that can hit Shedinja, and they're poison types, meaning they're immune to Toxic. Team Galactic, because of that, is a little bit of a struggle in this run, to say the least. It requires a lot of resetting to beat even sometimes basic grunts. The main way to kill them is using either Destiny Bond with Quick Claw on the Zubats, or getting off Endeavor Quick Attack on them. After Mars' Perugly gives us a few problems, because Endeavor into Citrus Berry means we don't kill with Quick Attack, we get to Eterna Forest, yell at our partners Chansey for a bit, and reach Eterna City. Gardenia is one of the easiest gyms in the game. Almost none of her Pokemon can hit Shedinja. The only problem is that Roserades and also the Roselias in her gym, we have to kill using Confuse Ray from Shedinja because we did not put Will-O-Wisp on the Shedinja. After defeating Saturn after a few attempts, we head to the underground to mine for revives. Revives are going to be the most important item in this run. If we get off a Toxic on someone, that means we can stall turns using revives and protects until they eventually die. Also, using revives means we get multiple chances of getting the Quick Claw off on Gengar. Remember that Quick Claw is a 20% chance to go off, while Focus Band is only a 10. So Gengar always has the highest chance of killing enemy Pokemon. As we reach Fantina, we realize stalling Ghost-type trainers is pretty easy. All we have to do is switch between Shedinja and our normal types. They run out of Ghost-type attacks, and we can simply stall them out with Shedinja and Toxic. The only thing that can hit Shedinja with a Dark-type move on Fantina's team is Duskull, so we just need to get one Focus Band with Toxic or one Destiny Bond off on her. As we defeat Fantina, we come to the rival of the run. And I don't just mean that he's the rival, I mean that he is consistently the hardest fight to beat in this game. 3 of Barry's Pokemon can hit Shedinja here, and his Staravia has Quick Attack, which means I cannot use Endeavor Quick Attack on it. This fight is where we first realized that the main strategy of the run is actually to revive Gengar as often as possible to get the highest chance of getting off a Destiny Bond. Barry's Ponyta we can actually stall out using Flareon until it runs out of Fire-type moves. Still, this fight required an intense amount of resetting, and after 1.5 hours of running our head into this wall, we finally beat him, getting off all of our Destiny Bond and Focus Band procs in the right spots, and stalling out the Ponyta for quite some time. After making our way up to Veilstone City, Meline is next. Both her Meditite and her Machoke have Rock Tomb to hit Shedinja, but after a few resets, we hit the Destiny Bond on Meditite, and Focus Band procs for Kyogre on the Machoke. Shedinja slowly whittles down Lucario with Confuse Ray. I'm really regretting not putting Will-O-Wisp on it at this point. The third fight against our rival Barry turns out to be another big showstopper for this team of 6. Because now all 4 of his Pokemon can hit Shedinja because his Grotle has learned Bite. I can't Quick Claw Destiny Bond his Buizel because the Buizel now has Aqua Jet, and priority moves go before Quick Claw. The strategy for this Barry fight is to reset until Destiny Bond hits the Staravia, then a Toxic hits a Buizel after Focus Bands, and then keep using revives against the Buizel until it dies. I then have to stall the Ponyta out of PP and kill it with Toxic, but we will later realize a much more effective technique. I then have to revive the Gengar and get off a Quick Claw Destiny Bond on Grotle. So after an insane amount of resetting, we finally get past the third Barry fight. And guess what? That Buizel that we just beat, Crasher Wake, has the exact same shit in big. That's right, Crasher Wake uses a Floatzel. That also has Aqua Jet. That can also hit Shedinja. I then had to reset my game until Destiny Bond hit Gyarados, Focus Band procced on Floatzel, and Destiny Bond hit on Quagsire. The first Cyrus fight is actually very easy when you play it correctly. However, I did not for the first 3 attempts play it correctly. He leads with a Sneasel that cannot hit Shedinja, which means the Sneasel is forced to switch out. 50% of the time he went for Murkrow, 50% of the time he went for Golbat. So you need to either Toxic for the Murkrow or Confuse Ray for the Golbat. After you beat one of them, you need to force Sneasel to switch again, and then, not like I did, accidentally press Toxic as you know the Golbat comes in, but actually Confuse Ray the incoming Pokemon, and then try to get off a Destiny Bond on it. I do, on the attempt where I screwed up so much, actually get the Destiny Bond proc and win though. The next big fight is the 4th rival battle. This is the same as the last one, except he adds another Pokemon that can hit our team in Heracross with Night Slash. We need to get off a Quick Claw Destiny Bond on his Staraptor, and we need to get off a Destiny Bond on his Torterra. We then need to Toxic his Floatzel. As his Floatzel is about to die, I'm trying to have Shedinja out as Floatzel dies, so he's forced to switch in Rapidash. He knows Rapidash can hit Shedinja super effectively, so my idea was that he would go for the Pokemon with the stab move that can hit it first. Here is the key strat that we learned from this fight and we'll be using for the rest of the game. As we stall Rapidash out of moves that can hit Shedinja, it also is out of moves that can hit Gengar. Now, As opposed to a Pokemon like Cyrus's Sneasel that just doesn't have any moves to begin with that can hit Shedinja, a Pokemon that is out of PP to hit Shedinja will not switch out. So if we stall Rapidash out of its fire moves by switching into Flareon and back into Shedinja, we stall it out of all of its fire moves. It is then only able to use normal type moves, which not only don't hit Shedinja, but more importantly, and this is where the new strat comes in, cannot hit Gengar. What we can now do is use Perish Song on the Rapidash with Gengar and not use Mean Look, but rather switch Gengar out and back in as we wait for him to switch out before the third turn of Perish Song hits. This means that the turn that he switches, we get off a free Destiny Bond on whatever he switches in. This means that if we can stall a Pokemon out of moves that hit Gengar, we can force the opponent to switch out of it with Perish Song, get off a free Destiny Bond on that Pokemon that comes in, have it kill Gengar and itself, have the Pokemon that can hit Gengar come back in, and do the same strat all over again after we revive Gengar. This is going to be an incredibly core strategy for beating the rest of the game from now on. It requires a lot more revives, but it is also much more reset consistent. Byron is one of the easier gym leaders on the list. The only thing that can really hurt Shedinja is Bastiodon, and Bastiodon only has 5 PP on its Stone Edge. This fight also illustrates the concept I talked about earlier. His Magneton can hit Shedinja but won't switch out, but his Bastiodon can hit Shedinja with Stone Edge, but once it's out of its 5 Stone Edges, it doesn't switch out of Shedinja. We force the Bastiodon to switch with Perish Song and Destiny Bond the Steelix for free. On our way to Candace, Kyogre comes in as the savior in the hail, letting Shedinja live through the hailstorm. Candace's Sneasel has Ice Shard, which means we can't Destiny Bond it, which means we can't use Quick Claw to Destiny Bond it, which means for the first and only time of the run we actually switch items for Gengar and have him use a Focus Band instead. Her Pillow-Swine can hit Shedinja with Stone Edges, but those 5 PP are really easy to stall out, and her Frostless we can stall out of Shadow Balls using Zangoose and Dodrio. As we head to Spear Pillar and fight Mars and Jupiter on the peak, Barry actually, after giving us so much trouble, carries us through the double fight, as we just spam Protect and Revive and have his Pokemon do the work for us. Heading to Distortion World, I was convinced I was going to have one of the hardest fights in the game. Cyrus 3. 4 of his Pokemon, Weavile, Honchkrow, Houndoom, and Crobat, are all able to hit Shedinja. However, on my first try of this fight, I get the Quick Claw proc on Houndoom. I get the Quick Claw proc on Honchkrow immediately after. I somehow stall Weavile out of Night Slashes with Revives and Protects, Toxic with Shedinja, and kill it. I'm on my first try. I've killed 3 of his Pokemon. His Gyarados can't do anything to Shedinja. The only thing I need now is a Quick Claw proc or an Air Slash miss on his Crobat with a fully alive team. I actually get the Quick Claw proc on the Crobat and beat Cyrus 3 on my first try. Volkner ends up being maybe one of the easiest gym leaders in the game. He leads Jolteon, which is then forced to switch for Shedinja, so you can just Toxic the incoming Luxray. You get 1 Quick Claw proc off on his Electivire, and his Jolteon and Raichu cannot deal with Shedinja. At this point, we'd almost done it. A level 1 team brought all the way to the Pokemon League. But would we be able to beat our rival once more? As I went into this fight, I was convinced it would be the hardest fight of the entire game. Barry comes equipped with 6 Pokemon that can all hit Shedinja. Heracross, Staraptor, Snorlax, Rapidash, Floatzel, and Torterra. We can't get the Quick Claw proc on Floatzel because of Aqua Jet. However, his Torterra will actually be our savior. After we Quick Claw Destiny Bond the Staraptor, he sends in Torterra, which we then have to run out of Crunches and out of Leaf Storms. As we use Protect and Revives to run it out of Crunches and Leaf Storms, our Revive counter slowly whittling down. He gets closer and closer to a point where he can no longer hit Gengar. His last 2 moves are Synthesis and Earthquake. All we have to do then is Perish Song the Torterra, force in the Floatzel. As it switches in, we Destiny Bond it, and Floatzel dies very satisfyingly without ever having to Toxic it. He then goes back into Torterra, and we can do the same thing with his Heracross. Flareon walls his Rapidash, because his only non-fire type move is Bounce, which we can always counter using Protect every other turn. And we then force another Destiny Bond onto his Snorlax using Torterra. Torterra tries to struggle itself to death, but it cannot escape the Endeavor Quick Attack. I think this fight, compared to our first attempt at Barry, was a great testament to how much better we got at using this level 1 team throughout the entire run. There was only one more obstacle in our way to beating this challenge. It was the Elite Four. On my first attempt into the Elite Four, I hadn't fully realized the strategy that I had discovered. So I didn't realize how many revives I would actually need. I did, however, know what my consistent strategy was. We need to find a Pokemon that can kill Shedinja, and then using Protects and Revives, have to run it out of PP. The AI will then always switch back to that Pokemon after we kill another Pokemon by doing our Perish Song Switch Destiny Bond trick. However, after beating Aron using this technique, I had realized how revive intensive it actually was, and that I had blasted through half of my revives only with one fight. I had to let myself die in the Elite Four and grind some money. This might actually be useful for your own platinum runs. There is this elderly couple south of Hearthome that gives an insane amount of money if you're wearing an amulet coin or a luck incense, and they're rebattleable using the Versus Seeker. So we saved in front of them, we fought them a bunch of times, they were really easy to beat even with level 1 strats. We massed up a bunch of money, bought way too many revives, and headed into the Elite Four for round 2. Aron falls the same way as before, using his Scizor as our pivot. We then head into Bertha's room. Her Whiscash immediately switches on Shedinja. We then stall her Gliscor out of Fire Fangs with Flareon and Shedinja. Use the Perish Song Destiny Bond strat to pivot around it and kill Hippopotas. Stall Golem out of Fire Punches and kill it. Stall her Rhyperior out of Rock Wreckers and kill it. And that's an easy Bertha fight. We then go to Flint. As Quick Claw Destiny Bond takes down Houndoom, we stall out Rapidash using Flareon. We then run his Flareon out of the 5 overheats that it carries as its only offensive fire type move. It can no longer hit Gengar, and we can use it as an easy Perish Song into Destiny Bond bait to kill Flint's Infernape and Magmortar. The Lucian fight is, surprisingly, the easiest in the Elite Four. The only things that can hit Shedinja are Espeon and Gallade, which very easily die to Destiny Bond strats. And we head up with our team of underdogs, of level 1s, of dead shells and gods, to defeat the final boss of the game, Cynthia. Everything except Melodic on Cynthia's team can hit Shedinja. We actually break out the Focus Sash that we brought in at the start of the game to use on Dodrio so we can get off a guaranteed Endeavor Quick Attack to make for less resets. We then need to get off a Quick Claw on the Spiritomb, which we did have to reset for. As soon as that happens, we get a free Toxic on Togekiss after she switches Melodic out of Shedinja. After Togekiss dies, she goes from Melodic back into Lucario. She goes into Lucario after her Melodic sees Shedinja again. Lucario needs to get stalled out of Stone Edges and Shadow Balls, which can both hit Shedinja. We use Revives and Protects to stall the 5 Stone Edges out, and then switch back and forth between Shedinja and Zangoose to stall it out of Shadow Balls. We then Perish Song it with Gengar, only to realize that she switches back into Melodic, which does not actually want to kill Gengar, but rather Mirror Coat it. Our Destiny Bond strategy had actually been thwarted by the champion. We were then forced to have her switch back into Lucario with Shedinja, and kill the Lucario extremely painstakingly using Shedinja's Confuse Ray, because any other strategy would result her going back into Melodic. We then stall out all of Lucario's PP, it eventually kills itself, she goes back into Melodic, we get another free Toxic off on our next switch in, which happens to be Garchomp. Now I know she uses a full restore, so that one Toxic would definitely not kill Garchomp. I then said to myself, hey, this is a perfect time to use that Focus Sash we got at the beginning of the game. I let Dodrio come in for free, and have her Garchomp hit the Dodrio, triggering the Focus Sash and using Endeavor. However, I did not realize at that moment that the Focus Sash would be completely wasted by the fact that Garchomp carries a Citrus Berry, and Quick Attack would no longer kill it. We then pivoted to the plan of stalling Garchomp out of Flamethrowers using Flareon, and eventually killing it with Shedinja. The last Pokemon to kill were Roserade and Melodic. Roserade would Confuse Ray successfully after she switched to Melodic and back into Roserade after seeing Shedinja. I was down to 1 Destiny Bond PP. Roserade had to hit itself this turn, and it did. After using that Destiny Bond PP, it had to snap out or not hit itself so it would actually kill Gengar, and it also did. We could easily kill Melodic with Shedinja, and just like that, we had beaten the entirety of Pokemon Platinum using only level 1 Pokemon. Do I recommend you do this? Absolutely not. It was a lot of resets. I just wanted to see if it was possible, and by only modifying the game a little bit, it was. What do you guys think are other games where this is actually possible? Can you do it in an earlier gen, or maybe in a later one? It would seem to me that How Sturdy works in Gen 5 lends itself a lot easier for runs like this, which is part of the reason I wanted to do it in Gen 4 instead of Gen 5. I felt like Gen 5 Sturdy made the challenge a little bit more trivial. Is there an earlier gen where this is actually possible? Could there have been a better strat, a faster strat that I could have used, a more consistent one, a better team? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you want to see more runs like this, and I'll see you guys later.